But honestly, I've been able to come up with, a few weights from the Facebook market and a couple bands and weighted vests, ab rollers, medicine balls here and there. So I've kind of come up with something to work out on my patio and really just keeping myself busy, keeping my mind busy, staying active. I think the biggest thing is when you start to get bored and you start to lose track of what you're working for. I think that's when, everything kind of takes over you and you kind of just start losing sight of what you really want to do. So that's pretty much what I've been doing, just trying to stay active, stay busy.
So it sounds like you got almost like a little makeshift secondhand gym. You pulling from whatever was cheapest is what it sounds like.
Pretty much. The hardest part was, trying to find weights, trying to go to Walmart, trying to go to Target. And the little stuff you would never look to buy, like an ab roller or something at Target or Walmart, is now sold out. So it's like, geez, weights are a hot commodity now. And so you go on the Facebook market and everybody's jacking up these prices for 20, 30-pound dumbbells, And that's the hard part about it, is just trying to find something that will get you through this time, because, you don't know when you're going to last, if it's going to last for 3 months, 5-6 months, or maybe the next 2 weeks. So you don't want to spend a lot of money on, I'm going to go buy all these weights, set up a home gym, and a week from now everything's back open.
Yeah.
So I managed to get a little something out here on my patio.
All right. And then what kind of an adjustment was that for you? I know obviously you come out after winning the championship, you start this process, you start working out with some trainers and everything, and then all of a sudden now you got to stay home. What kind of an adjustment was that for you?
It's tough because, I went from having a set schedule every day, really from August, being with LSU, up until draft training starting in January. I had a set schedule every day from Monday through Saturday, from 7 o'clock to 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the hardest part, is now being on my own, trying to time manage everything, knowing what I got to do, waking up every day. You don't have somebody to make your meals for you. Rather, in draft prep training, you get your meals given to you. You have your time sent to you every day of, hey, you got to show up at this time for your massage. You got to get in the cryo tank at this time. All that stuff is different now because I'm on my own. Now I got to find time to stretch out on my own. I got to wake up in the morning and cook breakfast now. Kind of like I was in college, but more independent, because even when I was at LSU, I got my food made for me. I had time to show up to work out. Now it's really, you're a pro about it. And I think honestly, I'm looking at the positive of all this coronavirus stuff, because I'm treating it like a pro. Pros really have to do things on their own time. They have to find time to train, find time to eat, do things on their own. Now you don't have a coach or somebody telling you, hey, you got to come show up at this time. Hey, you got to do this. It's either you do it or you get cut. So it's been pretty awesome to really just start to time manage on my own.
All right. And then with that time management, obviously you're making time to work out. What else are you doing to kind of pass the time during this sort of quarantine isolation period?
Shoot, just other than working out 2-3 times a day and running the stairs, Xbox, man. My Xbox is keeping me busy. I'm on with some of the guys like Rashard, Glenn, Neil. We have our little Madden league going right now online, and so I went to the Target the other day with my girlfriend. We bought 900 pieces of Legos and just doing stuff like that, things like that. And we actually went to go look for puzzles. So funny story. We went to Barnes & Noble, because I live in Perkinsville. So we went to Barnes & Noble's, and they were closed because we wanted to go find a puzzle. So they were closed. We went to Target, and Target was sold out of puzzles. They only had like kids puzzles, but they were too easy. We're looking for something kind of challenging, bypass time. Well, we stumbled across Legos, and it's like, who's not going to buy Legos? It did, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's always a kid inside of us that wants to build a big tower, a big building, a fort. We've always got that little kid inside of us. And so, yeah, I spent $50 on a Lego set, man. Guilty, but not going to lie. We had some fun. We started at like 9 o'clock the other night and went and built Legos all the way till like 2 in the morning.
So what is it? Did you go with Star Wars? Did you go with what Lego set did you decide to go with?
So my girlfriend wanted to get a Moana set. It was I was like, wow, out of all the sets, you want to get a Moana set. But the Moana set was only like 450 pieces. And the thing I didn't like about like the Moana sets and stuff like that is once you build something, it's like you built that. You know, it's not diverse where you get to build different things. And so we actually got just like a regular 900 piece universal set where you can build different things. It comes in like 25, 30 different assortment colors. And I mean, that's the best thing about it is it gives you ideas to build stuff. And then shoot, if you don't want to build an ice cream shop or something, it says on there, then you can just build your own dungeon or something.
So I want to see the time lapse video of what you guys are doing over there.
My Legos are rusty, but I'm pretty sure when I get some masterpieces done, I'll send you a few pictures.
All right. So going back to the draft, I mean, obviously last week was when you guys were supposed to have your pro day.
Yeah.
How disappointing was that for you that, you weren't able to go out there and, have your traditional pro day in a sense?
True. I mean, it's tough. It's very disappointing. More so emotional because you dream about this stuff growing up. You dream about the biggest interview of your life, getting to get in front of scouts, GMs, head coaches, that get to watch what you do best up close. I mean, everybody watches film. Everybody sees Breiden Fehoko playing for LSU number 91, but not a lot of them get to see Breiden Fehoko up close and personal, get to shake his hand, get to talk with him, see what his personality is like. That's the biggest, I'm not going to say let down, but that's the biggest thing I missed most about not having a pro day is getting to get in front of a scout and a general manager, introduce myself, sell myself, and talk about what I can provide for their team. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, now we have to do phone calls and stuff. I'll take a few calls here and there from teams. But more importantly, I think them getting to see me face-to-face before the draft is always a huge positive. And that's really the biggest downfall of not having a pro day.
And you talked about, the phone calls, the FaceTimes. What's that process been like for you? And, obviously it wasn't what you were expecting to be doing, but how have you been kind of taking advantage of that?
It's awesome. I mean, I talked to the Chargers last week, and pretty much every phone call that teams have asked me have been the same. It's either to ask about my medical records, previous injuries, the best line to reach you on draft day, or what I'm doing to stay in shape, if I'm staying active, how's my body feeling, stuff like that. Kind of just more check-in calls, really.
All right. And have teams asked you, obviously you transferred from Texas Tech, have they asked you about, how you adapted to LSU and what, how you changed, with the cultures of the different programs? Have they talked a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. A lot of them, were really intrigued to ask about why I transferred from Texas Tech. Because it's weird. Nobody transfers that starts every game. I mean, is pretty much having a consistent career where they're starting. But I told each and every one of them, I've been straight up honest. I said, you know what? I looked at the long run for myself and where I want to be. And I looked at the development of myself as a football player. And I said, I was playing a lot of football at Texas Tech, but there's a difference between playing a lot of football and playing quality reps, doing quality stuff. No offense, but the SEC is just a different style of football, week in, week out. You're going to go from playing Auburn, travel to Tuscaloosa, come back home and play Arkansas, Georgia. You never know who you're going to play, Florida. And so you always have to be on your A game. Your technique has to be on point. Your training, your physical, your mentality, your fundamentals, everything has to be on point. And I wanted that as a football player. I wanted to make sure that when my time came, like now, in a month or so, when I'm ready to take that next step to the NFL, I wanted to make sure I was mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally ready to take that next step. To me, coming to LSU was a no-brainer because Coach O is a defensive line mastermind. Coach Pete Jenkins was here at the time. I got to work with Coach Aranda, Bill Johnson, Dennis Johnson, a lot of guys here that have helped molded my game. It's been awesome because not only have I developed as a football player, but I've won a national championship, an SEC championship, a college playoff, semifinal game. I've done a lot in my college career, and I don't take anything I did for granted. I'm happy I did what I did.
Yeah, you were talking about those quality reps, and I'm like, he's gonna say the national championship in there
For
somewhere.
sure.
Yeah, he's gonna talk about that. Well, also, you mentioned the transferring. You come to LSU, you join the starting lineup right away. Did you expect that team when you got to LSU to be able to win a national championship, let alone compete for one?
Yeah, it's crazy because every kid that gets recruited out of high school always says, I'm going to bring a national championship to my, college of my choice, and I'm going to bring a national championship back to the city, state, et cetera, et cetera. When I first got to LSU, I seen guys like Will Clapp, Ethan Posick, Devon Godshaw, Jamal Adams, Leonard, Darius Geis, Arden Key, guys that are pretty much stars right now in the league, stars at LSU, that didn't even come close to getting an SC championship. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, the talent that comes through these doors here at LSU, that there hasn't been a national championship here since, 2011? Or no, 2007 was the national championship?
Yeah, 2007.
And so I was like, you know what? This is crazy that there hasn't been a national championship. I said, don't get me wrong. In the next 5 years, this is when I first got here in 2017. I said, the next 5 years, LSU will win a national championship. And 3 years later, we did it. I mean, Coach O went and got a quarterback. You look at that quarterback room that was at Ohio State: Dwayne Haskins, Joe. Who was it before Joe?
JT Barrett.
JT Barrett. Cordell Jones, Joe's freshman year. You talk about a quarterback room now. And so to me, I was like, we got Joe Burrow. I knew Joe because we're in the same class. So I knew Joe back in high school. Didn't know him personally, but I heard of him. And then I just looked at the pieces. The Rashard came back. Christian came back. We had Grant going into his junior year. We had guys on offense. Jamar was coming off a good freshman season. Justin Jefferson was coming off a good sophomore season. The offensive line, everybody had questions before the year because of the year previous. Mm-hmm. And Lloyd Cushenberry, I knew Lloyd was such a leader. I knew Lloyd was going to get it done. When I first came into the 2017 class, it was like Sadiq, Ed Ingram, Austin Deculus. That was the Clyde. That was the class. That was the championship class. And so I knew from seeing those guys, I was like, yeah, LSU is definitely championship bound. You can see it. It's going to happen in the next few years.
All right. And so obviously you got to be rooting for all your teammates in the draft. But do you find yourself kind of rooting for, maybe some of the guys you played, just so you could say, all right, see, yep, no, I got a sack on him, or I got past him.
I'm never going to throw shade on players, but I mean, there's some guys that I know that offensive line wise that are going to go pretty high. That, I mean, if you turn on the tape, we gave those guys a run for their money. So, I got a little chip on my shoulder because, I'm looking forward to seeing those guys on draft day. And I'm looking forward to not seeing myself on their highlights when they get drafted. And so that's always a good thing when you can see guys get drafted high and know that you competed at a high level against them.
All right. And then obviously you kind of touched on this a little earlier, but talking to the teams, what has been the message you've been trying to get across to them, despite the fact that you can't go out to their facilities and meet with them face to face? What have you been trying to convey to them?
The biggest thing I'm trying to sell is, when you get Breiden Fehoko, the player, you not only get a player who's versatile. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of players in my position say they're versatile. Oh, I play defensive end, I play D-tackle, I play nose guard. Well, that's good. But in doing so, what can you do within those positions to make you more valuable? And here's where I sell myself more. I say, you know what? I played at 2 different universities. I played under 4 different defensive coordinators, numerous 5, 6 defensive line coaches. And as someone might see that as a negative where, okay, you played under different schemes, you learned different things. Well, yes, I played under different schemes. I've learned different things. Each coach I've been under has either had NFL experience, numerous years in the college ranks. So they all added something to my style of play. In a 3-4 defense, a defensive end can't be the same technique you play as a defensive end on a 4-3 defense. So a lot of guys might say, well, I'll play defensive end. Well, it's different. Some coaches in the league, say the New England Patriots, Detroit Lions, run a solid 3-4. Well, the defensive end in that scheme is playing a 4-eye. Rather, as Minnesota, they run a 4-3. The defensive end plays a 5 technique or a wide 9. Those are things I've done, and playing the different techniques within those schemes is what I feel like I'm valuable at. I know how each position, from a 6 technique to a 5 to a 4-eye to a 3 to an inside 2 of a guard, all the way down to a shade and a 0 technique on a center looks like. I know how to play it. I've played every position in college football along the D-line. I know how it looks like. I've got film on it. And I think, I'm not trying to rumble on, but that's what I can sell the most NFL teams about Breiden Fehoko as a player.
Yeah, that versatility is something obviously I know a lot of teams are always looking for.
Sure.
I gotta ask you also, where does the fam want you to end up? They kind of told you where, or said, hey, be nice to this team. Where's your family? Where's everybody kind of trying to hope you land?
My older brother, he's a diehard Raven fan. He's been a diehard Raven fan since before time. Well, the reason we're Raven fans is because my dad, relative of ours, is Haloti Nada. Haloti played for Baltimore throughout his career, and one of my dad's closest friends was Edwin Mulitalo. He's part of the Ravens all-time team. Played offensive guard there for 8-9 years, and so we grew up around the Ravens facility. Not many people know that. I grew up meeting guys like Ray Lewis, Todd Heap, Chris McAllister, Ed Reed, a bunch of those guys as a young boy. And so that's how my older brother, became a Ravens fan. Going into the draft, I think my family's just excited to just see me become a professional in my sport, accomplish the dream I've had since I was a kid. And I think that's the biggest thing, is really just to put a smile on their face is what's going to make me happy more than anything.
It sounds like they wouldn't mind, though, if you kept purple. If you kept wearing that purple from LSU. Don't throw all the purple stuff away yet.
You wouldn't have to throw it all away. You could just wear an LSU shirt to a Baltimore game. That'd be nice.
All right. And then lastly, you mentioned your dad kind of became a little bit of a celebrity in Baton Rouge. Got the whole D-line kind of hyped up with that pregame Haka. You planning to bring that with you to the pros?
For sure. I mean, in the pros, man, it's not just about football. It's about family. It's about culture. It's another thing I talk about, what I bring to the table. I don't just bring, my football. I come from a big family. I come from a family-oriented cultural background. Wherever I go, I want people to learn about Breiden Fehoko, not just a football player, but a Tongan Fijian guy that is bred from his roots. I want people to know about my native culture, my native tongue, the food we eat, the war dances we do, all of that stuff. And I'm glad that my dad became a local celebrity in Baton Rouge, because it shows to me that people are embracing our culture. It shows people want to learn more about it. And what I can learn from that is wherever I go, that'll go with me. My culture will always be with me. That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
All right. Well, appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. And obviously, good luck in a couple weeks. Hope to hear your name called.
Appreciate it, my man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.